Testing again. Didn't work that last time. Testing. 185 185 555 1278. It's testing. At least it's testing. 123 785. Huh. Okay, there we go. All right. All right. Yeah. It was an interesting experiment starting them with doing that with copyrighted music. So every one of my videos has this copyright notice. One of them that used Paul Simon blocked worldwide. So, but most of them you can see them, but I think they probably don't come up in your inbox. They probably, you could just see them if you got the link or you checked, maybe if you checked and clicked on my channel or something. All right. Okay, I was having a little fun with this last night. So, House Resolution 109. The lovely and amazing Miss Ocasio-Cortez. We were on, we were on section 2. And I'm looking for the part where you can't have ice cream. Okay, yeah, this is part 2. So we've been through these section A through D and stuff and things like, healthy food. Who could get a, so this is a sense of the House resolution, which means, hey, let's see if we can get on the same page with things like it's good to educate kids, or things like we need to protect the country from terrorism, or things like, they do this for, we're generally in agreement that, Israel needs protection or whatever. Israel has the right to exist or whatever, sense of the Senate. So you see if you can get on the page, starts a paper trail where everybody is, and it's not that people are committed to it, it's that they've said, yeah, sure, of course I'm on for healthy food. So we're looking for the part where cows aren't allowed to fart anymore. Okay, and we're down in on 2. Where's 2? There. Okay. So the goals described in subparagraphs A through E of paragraph 1, referred to in this resolution as the Green New Deal goals, should be accomplished through a 10-year national mobilization. 10 years? Never heard of 10 years. That doesn't exist. Referred to in this resolution as the Green New Deal mobilization. I'm going to watch for comments if anybody's going to... I still don't know where says, but I'll try to look at comments this time. Because I don't always do that, because this is just a quick upload method. It really, having a regular chat thing like I did and stick 'em and stuff for a while, or like people do where they just talk to the chatters, or on Twitch or whatever. You could do it just with super chats. I would do that, I guess, but to me it's more a thing for a monetized channel. All right. Which I'm not. So, okay, that'll require the following goals and projects. A, building resiliency. Now, resiliency, I think we could take as a close, not quite synonym to, it's sustainable, a resilient, like a building that has been made, more, has been designed to sustain earthquakes is more resilient than one that hasn't. A building that got retrofitted is, for earthquake is better than one that hasn't. So resiliency against climate change related disasters such as extreme weather, including by leveraging funding and providing investment for community defined projects and strategies. Well, that's a no-brainer that that's a good idea. The thing about climate change is, we're not going to stop it. It's not total, it's already happening. And when you have this temperature change, the planet's going to adjust. That's going to mean some extreme weather and, big storms. I won't call them superstorms. I don't want to be inflammatory about it. But, big storms and flooding. And, we need levees and we need emergency facilities. A stadium in a big city, depending on where it is, maybe it should be prepared and ready to act as a kind of a urban refugee location in a major flooding or whatever. It's not that. So that's not the one that says you can't have ice cream. We'll find it. Okay, repairing and upgrading the infrastructure in the United States, including 1, eliminating pollution and greenhouse gas emissions as much as technologically feasible. Look, as much as technologically feasible. Huh. So it's qualified by being feasible technologically. So they don't want magic unicorn fart power? Well, okay. You want to be realistic and everything. Okay, 2, by guaranteeing universal access to clean water. Clean water? Well, that's crazy. That's pie in the sky. But that's like getting free ice cream or no ice cream allowed. 3, by reducing the risks posed by climate impacts. That's similar to this one. I mean, reducing the risks means preparing. Like if we're going to have ice storms in the Northeast, maybe we need to put our power cables and stuff underground. Which can be done, has been done anyway. That makes it safer, or et cetera, et cetera. There's ways to address the coming. And the funny thing is, like gas companies, oil companies, are preparing for these eventualities. They do realize that they're going to have to deal with this. If they're making a platform, they know there's a chance that it could sink. Do they make the platform stronger because of coming storms? Maybe not. Depends on whether they think it's just cheaper to let it go down. But they don't ignore that it's something that's going to happen. They got their accountants on it always decades before they admit it's happening to everybody else. Okay, 4, by ensuring that any infrastructure bill considered by Congress addresses climate change. Sounds reasonable since it's true. Okay, C, meeting 100% of the power demand in the United States through clean, renewable, and zero-emission energy sources, including, okay, this is where I want to put my own thing in there where this needs to include nuclear. Nuclear is the answer, man. It is cheap as shit. There's tons of it. It's in every country. There would never be any geographic hegemony about it other than for convenience or to save 10%, right? Some people might have deposits, but the thing is, in America, because of the nuclear we've already done, we have like 500 years of nuclear fuel that we call waste because the generation 1, 2, and 3 nuclear plants aren't designed to burn it. And if you just dissolve it, or even if you dissolve it and put it back into pellets, that you burn with a gamma laser. But if you dissolve it into a liquid thing like terrestrial energies, reactor design, you can burn that, and there's like 500 years worth of energy. And that means like all of the energy, your car, your transportation, your manufacturing, your lights, everything. So that's what makes this actually possible in 10 years. But of course, we might get some resistance, including, I don't know, from Ocasio-Cortez herself. People are knee-jerk about nuclear, even though it creates much less waste than, coal. I mean, there is more energy. If you were to take the thorium and uranium that is naturally in coal, once it's mined, you took that out and you put it in a nuclear reactor, you will not only get more energy than you got from burning the coal, right? But you'll end up with less radioactivity because when you burn the coal, that thorium and uranium that's naturally in the rock and the coal is just in the ash. Whereas when you burn it in a nuclear reactor on a thorium cycle, you break it down into short-lived, lighter radioactive elements that are radioactive for a shorter period of time. So it's just way better than putting all this carbon and lead. It's like, oh, but radiation causes cancer. Yes, so does lead. So does all of these solvents in the oil industry. Um, and it's like there is no Geiger counter for lead pollution. You can't find out how much lead is in your soil except for by testing it. And you have to spot test it and guess that the stuff in between, you didn't miss a high deposit. Whereas with radioactivity, you could walk around with the Geiger counter and totally map where the radioactivity is somewhere. It's just obviously a better everything. The toxicity of it and everything is just easier to handle. It's better, and you don't have to burn it and put it into the air. Um, so that'll be a hard sell, I know, to the liberal side, but also to the conservative side. When I talk to this about this to conservatives, they're not for it either. They're a bunch of anti-nuke nutcases too. They're like, "We're just nuke is for weapons. We don't like to use it for a good reason." Okay, dramatically expanding and upgrading renewable power sources. I am for that. This is where I think it could go over. There's a little bit of too much faith. Like this wind and solar farms are killing a lot of wildlife, and to manufacture them, they manufacture them over in China, exporting all the toxicity from the various heavy metals and stuff. It's not like zero cost just because while you're getting the energy, it's straight from the sun or the wind. Deploying new capacity. This just means that the government would help, I guess, creating extra capacity, which, is a national security matter. You want to have more. It'd be nice to have, like, at least double your capacity that you use in any given moment in a nation, especially since if you want to, you can ship power. You could ship power all the way from the East Coast to the West Coast or vice versa, but you're going to lose a lot of it along the way. So, I mean, definitely build new capacity. Building or upgrading to energy efficient, distributed, and smart power grids and ensuring affordable access to electricity. I think there is a lot of stuff about affordable access to electricity, but it is true. It's like, I don't know how the system works now, but, for a long time they've had a thing like where if you were too poor to actually afford, back in the day, a $20 phone line or whatever, you could get it for cheaper because they want everybody to be able to call 911 and not just to save themselves, but, maybe to report a crime or something. And it's just a ubiquitous thing. Would you want to do that with power? And I think, yeah, I think you would. I think you'd want a minimum amount of power. Upgrading all existing buildings in the United States. Oh yeah, this one's got all this shit. And building new buildings to achievement. It's like, that's impossible, upgrading buildings. Well, I don't know about that. I mean, as we learned about earthquakes, we retrofitted buildings for earthquakes. That would be a million a second. Million. No, maybe you're going to take 30 or 40 or 50 years to do it. No, it's impossible to upgrade things. Spurring massive growth in clean manufacturing in the United States and removing pollution and greenhouse gas emissions from manufacturing industry as much as technologically feasible. What? as much as technologically feasible is like code word for no more ice cream, including by expanding renewable energy manufacturing and investing in existing manufacturing and industry. Well, that's smart. So it's pro-business. She's saying some of the government's funds will go out to help renewable, clean industry projects, right? Because it's there's an extra cost when you're experimenting, and some of the experiments don't work so great. The government can help pay the costs of experimenting. The business provides an actual, business situation where they have to succeed, and there's a little bit of insurance on the matter. Like, well, if this one doesn't work out, then we do a different thing, and maybe we get a tax break or something to try. G, working collaboratively with farmers and ranchers in the United States to remove pollution and greenhouse gas emissions from the agricultural sector as much as technologically feasible, including supporting family farming and investing in sustainable farming and land use practices that increase soil health. Is this the part where there's no more cows allowed? Because it says they're going to work with the ranchers. Does she think the ranchers want to get rid of cows? And what is this about as much as technologically feasible? I thought she wants to do something unfeasible. She's probably lying. Supporting family farming. I agree with that. I think any farmers would agree with that. We can't have an average age of the farmer be above, 50. It's above 60, I think. By building a more sustainable food system that ensures universal access to healthy food. What? Everybody's going to get healthy food? Why would I work hard if everybody's going to get healthy food? I want the healthy food. Not really, I want unhealthy food. H. Overhauling transportation systems in the United States to remove pollution and greenhouse gases emissions from transportation sector as much as technologically feasible, including through investment in. What is with all this as is technologically feasible? Why can't we use magic? Zero emission vehicle infrastructure and manufacturing. Totally possible. That's just electric vehicles. Well, that's impossible. Nobody will ever make them. Clean, affordable, and accessible public transport. Oh, right, sure. High-speed rail. I don't know that high-speed rail's really needed, because I could see how high-speed rail would still be useful for goods, transport of goods. So I do think maybe this, and it's okay to have it in here. But for people, and possibly for goods as well, self-driving vehicles mean that, for example, you could have trucks, and even though the trucks take a lot of wear and tear on the road, you can make them all go 30 miles an hour. Why? Well, because they can go 24 hours a day. So they don't have to go as fast. They could just chug along. And you might be able to have a road system and just use that for rail. On the other hand, it would be nice to have goods on a rail system, and with self-driving rail cars, you can have still a lot of flexibility. They can always, they come into a station and they peel off to a self-driving truck, maybe loaded by robots as well. So everything is just automatic and gets to the place it needs to go. And we as private party transport on the roads with self-driving wouldn't have to deal with big giant trucks. But then again, if it's all self-driving, who really cares if there's trucks with you? I don't think. But then again, I'm pretty much a truster that self-driving will be the best way ever of driving. I, mitigating and managing the long-term adverse health, economic, and other effects of pollution and climate change, including by providing funding for community-defined projects and strategies. Well, I think that's good. Have a grant program. In these urban situations, all the soil and a lot of the water and stuff is contaminated. We should have some grants for education programs on how to deal with that, how to filter things, how to deal with stuff. Truth Quest 123. I don't think you care about the working class. Fuck you. Of course I do. I am working class. What are you talking about? Fuck off. But not really. Tell me what you mean, asshole. But not literally. No offense intended, Truth Quest. It's just you're being a shithead. What do you mean? No offense intended. Okay. J. Removing greenhouse gases from the atmosphere and reducing pollution by restoring natural ecosystems through proven low-tech solutions that increase soil carbon storage, such as land preservation and afforestation. Yeah, no shit. What we need is a machine that could sequester the extra carbon in the atmosphere and get it into the soil. Something just like a tree. Oh yeah, let's use trees. If you reforest places or just increase deforestation of places that, you don't have to reforest the desert, though that's been proven last 30 years, totally possible. There's a method. But you can also just superforest an area that's doing fine in forestry and it has room for more trees. And those take more carbon out of the atmosphere. And that's how you can deal with the extra stuff. Robots are not taking anyone's jobs. Quit supporting robots. The working class. The working class, if robots wipe the ass of the rich, then who? Then how will poor people make a living with no asses to wipe? Fuck off. If a robot can do a job, they can do it, and the person that was supposed to do it should just be able to go to the beach or go canoeing. You hate the working class, obviously. Okay, just kidding, but not really. On the square, seriously, but no. A little bit hyperbolic, but seriously, you hate the working class. Okay, K. Restoring and protecting threatened, endangered, and I'm talking to the Truth Quest over here in the chat. Restoring and protecting threatened, endangered, and fragile ecosystems through locally appropriate and science-based projects that enhance biodiversity and support climate resiliency. Science! Oh, there you go again with your science. That's right, we believe in science, just you're going to have to fucking deal with it, you science haters. Hi, Lede, no offense. I know you only hate certain science. L. Cleaning up existing hazardous waste and abandoned sites, ensuring economic development and sustainability on those sites. This, to me, is a fine way to put it, but I would also wish they would specifically put it. But this is going to include, no doubt, it has to include these Superfund sites identified from the 70s onward, getting very little funding that need to be cleaned up. And also things like Hetch Hetchy that should just be reverted back to their natural state. They're unneeded. M. Identifying other emission and pollution sources and creating solutions to remove them. This means scientific research into, for example, non-point sources. Like we all know that there's a gas refinery. It's creating a lot of lead that's in Detroit or whatever, or created in the past. It might be shut down, a lot of them, but not always. Like there's a giant, it's Chevron or Standard refinery in the North Bay. Those things are like constant spills. Yeah, but there's other things, erosion type situation, chemicals that might be semi-sequestered in soil, but that there's a runoff situation. There's ways to deal with those. We should do research in that. She's so smart. And promoting the international exchange of technology, expertise, products, funding, and services with the aim of making the United States the international leader on climate action and to help other countries achieve a Green New Deal. So, for example, sponsoring, conferences and meetings, funding some academic positions in this area to help organize that sort of thing, and to take a leadership role in what's clearly going to be a very profitable business. Why is it profitable? Because we're going to save money with things like nuclear, electric cars, various things are going to save money, and we're going to be able to sell into, multi-billion, hundreds of billion, trillion-dollar industries. A Green New Deal must be like it's I forget what the number is, and because people, when they tell you the number, they often don't tell you the year period, and so you have to double check and stuff. The amount of money spent on oil is crazy. Like it's not the price of gas. Well, in a way, it's the price of gas, but really, it shudders through this whole economy and all the refineries and people that work in that industry. And of course, it is all paid for by energy costs, but it's the price of electricity sometimes. There's markup all along the chain. Obviously, it all goes into the oil, but then the point is that the people that sell you the oil are having to give it to other people too. So it's this hugely broad thing. To get rid of that does require that certain individuals are going to be destabilized from their jobs and need a subsidy or retraining, or if they can't be retrained, they need an early retirement, or at least, their mortgage needs to be covered and their health care while they live an austere life, but not homeless type thing. All right, so we're on item 3. So we'll do that later. How long was this one? 25, great. Truth Quest, you got anything else to say except for you're wrong? 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 2, 5, 4, 1, 2, 3, 2, 1, 1, 1, 5, 7, 8, 9. Five, 2, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I agree, Johnny T. Doe. Farewell for now.